Hi everyone and welcome to Crochet Rocks. My name's Tracy and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the scarf that I made for the 2020 challenge. And this is the one that I said it's kind of unisex because it could be worn by a man, but most of the others that I'd made were definitely a bit girly, whereas this one has got all the right kind of neutral tones, if you like. There's no shocking pink in it, put it that way. So this one I'm going to show you how to make it using this James C. Brett marble. Now it says it's DK weight, which is a 3 weight in the US, but it is quite generous, so I'm treating it more like it's a 4 and using a 5.5mm crochet hook. So you'll also need a pair of scissors and a darning needle and an optional cup of tea, which always goes down well. So I would say that for this I will need not 2 of these, but I will definitely need more than 1. It's wise to have a couple just in case. Now I've made this, it's fairly wide. Oh, here's my little measure. It doesn't only goes in centimeters, unfortunately, so it's probably about 21 centimeters wide, 22 because that is 21 there, 22. Oh, sorry, you can't see that, can you? So yeah, I could, but yeah, so this one here, that's 20, so it's about 22 and a half centimeters wide, but I just did 30 chain. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Just bear with me 1 second while I get my bits ready. Before I do, I managed to find a tape measure, so that actually does measure around 9 inches wide, so that's cool. So I'm going to start with this yarn, if I can find the end. Get some yarn out, and by making a slip knot, leave a nice generous tail to sew it in and make a slip knot. And I'm going to do 30 chain because I want an odd number, because I want to start and end with the same stitch. You may have seen this stitch before. I've made a blanket and a stitch naming competition, so I'm showing you it again now, but that's an odd number of stitches, so we'll need 29 for the actual pattern and 1 extra for turning. So I'm going to do 30, so that's yarn over and pull through the loop, and don't make them too tight but not obviously much too loose, but yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. So I'm going to pause the video now while I get up to 30, and I shall catch up with you once I've done so. So I've got my 30 chain here, and I'm going to show you how to do this stitch. So this loop on the hook doesn't count, and this is the first chain. We're going to go into the second one, and we're going to do a single crochet in the US, which is a double crochet in the UK. So we're just going to insert the hook into that stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, so you have 2 on the hook, yarn over and pull through both. So in the next stitch we're going to do a double crochet, which is a US term, and that's a treble crochet in the UK. So we yarn over, go into that stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, so we have 3 on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now that's the repeat basically. We're going to just keep doing that until we get to the last stitch. But if you're an absolute beginner and you want to familiarise yourself more with those stitches, I do have tutorials on those stitches if you want to watch them first and familiarise yourself. But if not and you're happy with that, we're just going to continue. So we're going to do our single crochet. I'll use US terms now because otherwise it will get confusing. And then we're going to do our double crochet. but remember the UK equivalents are double crochet and treble crochet. It's a confusing thing. I don't know how that happened, that we got different names for the stitches. I really wish we didn't. So just continue like that all the way to the end, and we will finish on the single crochet. So I'm going to pause the video then, and I will catch up with you when we get to the end. Right, so I'm approaching the end, and so I've got a few more stitches to do. So I'll have my single, my double, and we will end every row just as we begin with a single crochet. That's why we need an odd number of stitches. So we should have something that looks like this. And we'll do one chain to turn and turn the work. And that's what it looks like on the back. So just as we began the other row, we're going to do a single crochet into the single crochet and a double crochet into the double crochet. And into the next one, there's our single. And here is the double crochet. And that's all we do, is completely mimic the row beneath. So if what we're doing, what we had in the previous row was a single, we do a single into it. And if it was a double, we do a double into it. And we just continue like that all the way to the end, always starting and ending with that single crochet. I have to say I like this yarn. It's quite nice to work with, and it does have lovely colours. If you wanted to, what do I do with the yarn band? So if you're interested in this yarn, the shade is MT53. Don't need a dye lot, but it is just the James C. Brett marble. It is machine washable, and it says it's a DK, but it's quite fat for a DK. It's funny how some are quite chunky for DK and some are quite thin, and that they're all classed as DK or a 3-weight in the US. I'm not sure what that is in other parts of the world. I've only just got my head around what they are in the US. So maybe one day I'll know them all. But we just continue like that all the way to the end. Oops, I nearly did the wrong stitch, talking. Just keep going in every one. I'm really trying to struggle to see around this big camera. Well, phone, it's a big one. I'm trying to look beneath it, so I'm hoping that my hands don't deviate from the view because of it. But when we get to the end, I'll just show you that once again we'll end with the single crochet. And we'll just do our single, one chain to turn, and that's what it looks like. So you shall have 2 rows where they're exactly the same. And I'll show you on this one. This yarn does have some lovely colours in it. And it's very similar to the Muir Woods yarn. It's got a lovely shine to it as well. Absolutely lovely. So that's what it will look like once you do more and more rows. So you just keep going, repeating those rows until your work, if it's for an adult, measures around 32 inches. That's kind of how long my cowls in the past have been. But if you prefer it to be shorter and just be snug round you like a kind of a neck warmer, then obviously just make it whatever length you want before you do the join. So just keep going with the same rows, just repeat that row over and over again. It's nice and simple. Once you get into it and you know that you're going, that's a single there, so you're doing a single, and that's a double there, you're doing a double. So once you kind of just get used to seeing it, you'll be flying along, and it grows in no time because it's no intricate pattern to worry about. But what I like about it, and I'll just show you on the finished one, is that you can't see through that. You can if you really kind of push your finger to it, but it's nice and close, it's lovely and warm, it's thick and chunky, so that will really keep the cold out. There's nothing lacy, so it's fine for a man and for a woman, because it's just the colours are nice for both. We can use whatever colour you want, but the stitch itself is nice and close. So although it kind of looks, if I bring it closer to the camera, you can see it's got a texture and it looks kind of nice. There's an even pattern to it, but there's no holes. So the other scarves I made for the 2020 challenge had one was star stitch and 2 were mile a minute, so they were holey. But I thought I'd do a bit of each. One that was a star stitch and very chunky, one that was kind of not lacy but had holes, and then this one, because I thought that this one would more or less, you know, appeal more to a man than the others that I'd made. So I'm going to pause this video and work up my cowl. This obviously is a scarf. I should have pointed that out. I made this one as a scarf and decided that I would do the tutorial as a cowl. So obviously if you wanted to make the scarf rather than the cowl, instead of doing 32 inches, you would just keep going and until you hit the length that was right for you. So this one's quite long because I figured, you know, I'd made several that were kind of ladies' scarves, but this one, and I thought if it was a kind of a big tall man, then they'd want that long. So, and if sometimes ladies do like to have nice long scarves and wrap them round, so I made this one quite long. So it really just is your personal preference as to whatever length you want to make this if it's a scarf, but make sure then that you do have enough yarn to do the scarf. But this tutorial is for a cowl because I thought I've made the scarf and might as well do a cowl. So I'm going to pause this now, and if you carry on doing those rows, and I will pick up with you again when we get to the end. So if you're making the scarf, then I'll still catch up with you and show you if you wanted to do the cowl, how to attach it. And then if you wanted to go around the outside with a row of single crochet, you could, but it doesn't leave a nasty edge. So I'm going to pause the video and get cracking on my length. Thanks for watching so far. Okay, so now I've measured this and it is exactly 32 inches. So now we come to join it. And this yarn, it's as I say, it's quite a thick yarn. And I just wanted to let you know, because I didn't tell you how it was made up, and I can't see that readily. It's a little bit dim. It's on a very good background, but I think it's got a fair bit of wool in it. Here we are. No, it's acrylic, 100% acrylic, but it does feel like wool. It's got an amazing kind of wool texture to it. So if any little mistakes are made and you do need to frog it, it does frog quite easily. That's just what I wanted to let you know, because I didn't mention that earlier. Not that I've had to frog much, but I decided to do a little experiment with joining and I wanted to undo it, so I just thought I'd let you know. So that's all done in this particular shade. So now we've got the joining, and you've got a choice really. You can either cut off a long strand of yarn and use a darning needle and just over sew each end together. That one would make the smoothest seam, if that's what you wanted to do. You can join, making sure that it is straight. Yes, it is. You can join the same way that I joined the mile a minute, which is by getting your hook with this on and going down into the stitch, so it's down like this into the very first stitch. Actually, you didn't want that yarn in front, do you? So yes, here we go. So I'll try and position this so that you can see it. So you go down, you've got this one on the hook. Don't worry about it getting a bit long because it doesn't matter. You go downwards into this stitch, yarn over and pull it through. It's hard to do it from this angle. Obviously pull it tight so that all those stitches aren't baggy. Slip stitch, and then do your first stitch, which is the single crochet. Go to the next stitch along, down, yarn over and pull it up, slip stitch, and in your next stitch you do your double crochet, and then you go into the next stitch, yarn over and pull it up, slip stitch, and then you can do your single crochet. I'll just do a few of these so that you can see how it looks. Go into the next stitch, yarn over and pull it through, slip stitch, and you'll want to, where is it? There it is. Do your double crochet. And into the next stitch, yarn over, pull it up, and then you can do your, going off camera, single crochet. It's very difficult to show you on camera, that one, but it does leave a little bump, but it's not massively noticeable. We'll just leave this line going across, so that one's not too bad. The only danger you will find as you're going along there is realizing, because this is the chain end, so you're kind of having to look to see what stitch it is you're going into to match them up. So that's one way. The other way is the way that I joined the granny square crochet along and my willow square crochet along, where you'll just go into that stitch, try and get it so I've got some yarn out. So you go into that stitch, you've got your hook with your stitch still on it, and you're going into the corresponding stitch the other side, yarn over, pull through both, and again you go into the next stitch, which is the double crochet, and on this side as well, yarn over, pull it through both. Now that one will leave more of a bump, it's just the way that does actually leave a ridge in your crochet when you're doing the blanket, so it will do that, and then you can just carry on all the way along, like for like stitch, and pull them together like that. And then that's actually a lot easier to do, and you can keep up with, I've gone off camera, haven't I? Sorry about that. Yeah, so that one is a lot easier to do. It's because I can't, if I pull this down a little bit, hang on a minute, going up the wrong way, there we go. So maybe that won't happen now. So you just go in, like for like stitch, yarn over, pull it through. Into the next one, hope you can see it. Don't deviate off the camera again. And yarn over, pull it through. It's like slip stitching all the way along. Now I'll show you what that looks like. You will get this bump. Now you can just make that the other side. So that's what it'll look like on the side you're wearing it. So you won't notice it. So if that's how I'm going to do this one, this way, because the other way is nice, but it's very difficult to see like for like stitches. So I'm just going to carry on going all the way along with this, because it's, you know, it'll be inside, so you won't see that ridge, and I think it's much easier. So I'm going to do it this way, but you can, if you want to, just use the darning needle and sew it all the way along. I'm going to try and zoom in a little bit, and that's the danger of me going off a camera, but I hope not. If I do, just shout at me. I promise I'll try and hear you. So just go along and slip stitch. I don't think it's much of a bulky ridge on this particular yarn. It's just that's how it looks on the wrong side. And so if you turned it inside out, I'll do it again so you can see there's nothing. Just the, sorry, that was my tummy. I hope you didn't hear it. I'm a bit hungry. I don't know why. Well, I do, because I didn't really eat very much dinner. But I've got it. I brought it with me so I could finish it off if I wanted to. And I have to say, while I'm doing this, I'm really sorry if you've been waiting for this tutorial, because I actually got called out. And so I've been a bit late doing it because my son and his my daughter-in-law, wife, that's the word I was looking for, couldn't think of it. They're moving out today, and they had a cooker delivered, like an oven, and they had no one in, so they had asked me if I would wait for it, and they sent a message saying it was delayed, and then they said it could come at 9 p.m. So at 9:15 it still hadn't arrived, so we waited a bit longer, because by that time they were back, and didn't come at all. So we ended up abandoning that, and they're going to have to do it another day. So I'm going to pause the video, and I will catch up with you when we get to the end. So I've got all the way to the end. I'm on the last stitch, and I'll go into the last stitch on this side and finish off by cutting a nice long thread so that I can sew that in and it won't come out. And so I'll just do another chain, cinch it down, like pull it right down, and then pull my yarn through. So that's how I've joined it, and it doesn't look too bad that side, but then once you turn it in the right way, it's just a seam, and that will kind of stretch out, and because the yarn stripes, it doesn't really notice a great deal. So that's the cowl. It's a bit hard to show you. I'm going to try and pull it back. That's how it looks in its entirety. I can't zoom out any further, but that's it. And but you can make them any size, obviously, for anybody. If you're making it for a child, just make it a little narrower and a little shorter, sort of. But that's it, and that's what it looks like as a cowl. But yeah, so the seam will even out, but it's either that or sewing it together or doing it the way that I showed you, or joining it in your favourite way. But thanks very much for watching. If you haven't already, pop onto the subscribe button and notification bell, and check out my other videos, scarves and tutorials. Got lots of tutorials on there now, many giveaways. And thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.